Good morning, Saskatoon. We need to talk about ethics. We need to talk about transparency. We need to talk about how that isn't being applied to Prairieland Park and their operations, or how the city deals with them, how councillors are in conflicts of interest, and they still proceed to vote on things when they are sitting on private boards, private corporation boards, which automatically should disclude or preclude them from voting. Why is nothing being done? So, interesting thing enough, if you go back to August 14th of 2017, and you go in the Planning and Development Committee, and you go to item 7.2.3, and you can look through a bunch of it, but if you go to specifically to a timestamp of 1 hour and 55 minutes, things get real interesting. It's after Marquis talks and a bunch of stuff happens, but if you talk, right there is when Mayor Clark kicks in and starts talking about ethics and transparency and his regular things that he's very concerned about. And then they push it to a vote. And they push it to a vote to have taxes looked at, to look at a few things around Prairieland Park. What's interesting about the ethics of that is while he was sitting in this committee, he was sitting beside Troy Davies, on the off chance that actually Troy Davies was in council that time, because he's not known for always being there, of course. He has other things that are more important generally, but when it's Prairieland Park, he hasn't missed a thing, I guess. So he's sitting there and he's voting. He voted repeatedly. While he was sitting on the board of a private corporation that he was discussing at City Council, he was voting regarding that. Is that a conflict of interest? It is by me, but not by the mayor, because the mayor was sitting beside him, never brought it up. Councillor Hill, who is the chairman of the committee, never brought it up, never said a word. Interesting. And they've done this before, and now Marin Lowen's sitting on the committee. I wonder what she's doing. She sits on the board at Prairieland Park. Is she still voting when it comes up at council? Is she acting in regard of the people that voted for her, or the people that schmooze her at these board events? Because that's what it's starting to feel like. So one thing Regier talked about that Charlie Clark brought up was that the tax in lieu that they were talking about, well, that's to support the horse racing track. Well, in 2015, Mark Regier gave an interview, and he stated that the track was doing so well that you couldn't get a supper. You had to book weeks in advance to get a booking for supper, and that the stands were full. So either he wasn't being honest, or the financial person that works for the track, Miss Rempel, is not being honest, because she's saying the track has been losing money for 10 years. Two of them can't be together. And with all the benefits that they get through ag and all of this extra money that gets given to them supposedly for the track can't cost that much. So where's all this extra money going except on the other side, outside of the ag part? They're going into the World Trade Center, and they're going to go into a brand new Sports on Tap. That's the things that Mark Regier is really important. That's the things that he worries about at night. Not Marquis Downs. That's just an afterthought. And the sooner he can close Marquis Downs, like he did in Regina, he closed their racetrack, the better for him. He'll just run betting out of Sports on Tap. He won't have to worry about that pesky racetrack. He could level it and put in more trade center stuff. And then we're going to have a problem, because we're going to have all this convention space that have been paid for by taxpayer money that are businesses in the city that are getting hurt by them, that pay full taxes. And he gets all the benefits. He's going to build all these structures, and then what? We're building a convention center downtown? Who do you think is going to be fighting against doing a convention center except for Mark? Because it's not in his best interest to have a convention center downtown when he's wanting to build this empire out there for himself. So we got to stop all this. How do we get the right people to make the right decisions? Well, they don't want to do it willingly, so maybe it takes a little extra pressure. You need to write to people, you need to phone them directly, and you need to make them squirm a bit. Especially Troy Davies, the mayor, because the mayor has to be aware that there's a conflict of interest in Troy Davies' actions, and that 4 years ago they talked about grant in lieu for Sports on Tap, and they've still never done anything in 4 years. How is that transparent? How is that accountable? Meanwhile, they're competing with all the businesses. Like Sutherland Hotel, they put out of business in 2018. It's time that we stop all this crap. It's time that we separate the real ag issues away from Prairieland Park's board. We create a separate board for those people that are ag-based, people that understand ag, and we get back to doing good things. We have a good, solid ag industry, and we start making money at our track just like Edmonton and Calgary or Edmonton and Winnipeg do. So, last year they had a great year. even during COVID. So all this excuse of COVID, it's just a smokescreen. If you know the real thing, they just don't want to do it. And it's in their best interest the sooner they can find a way to close the track but keep all the ag benefits. So let's take the ag benefits away, including the zoning, and let's start making them a commercial entity, and let's start dealing with things properly. My name's Kerry Tarasoff. Please get involved. Thank you.